Yo, 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 what is good to everybody watching the recording? Happy to be back here for Wyckoff Sundays episode 8. We have now done 2 months of the Wyckoff Sundays. It's now been 2 months going into this higher time frame analysis on YouTube, man. And honestly, we have killed it. Like I keep saying every week, I think all the analysis have been really good. For anybody really looking to learn top-down analysis, maybe doing your back testing based off of that, I think these are really great. Going to the overview of the week and then go in and apply the overview of that week, by finding your entry models on the smaller time frames, whatever it might be, and do some back testing through there and see what you guys can do, right? But definitely these sessions have been really, really good, right? So yeah, comment, like, and subscribe and such. YouTube speak. But yeah, let's go ahead and tap into first and foremost a review of last week in terms of what we really spoke on, right? So obviously, first thing we spoke on was dollar. We spoke on obviously the fact that yes, we did reach our targets, right? So what we had said, we had been looking for buys on these Wyckoff Sunday sessions since all the way down here, right? We were looking to really just go ahead and target these highs here. And obviously price did reach that target, but we also said that we most likely were not going to be looking for shorts just yet, because we noticed how, if we look over here on the USDX one, right, we noticed how there was a very big spike in volume inside of the high that ended up being created last week, right? So if I'm not mistaken, um, right over here. Yeah. So really, really big spike in volume in this high. The biggest spike in volume that we've had since the lows over there, it looks like, right? So because of that, we basically said like most likely we would end up getting more drives to the upside. Even though NFP did create like this push to the upside here, we were basically saying we'd most likely still continue to go for longs. And then maybe when we get into new highs, we can go ahead and see if shorts will make sense. So far, we haven't really seen the distribution yet, so I'm just going to delete this. But we did manage to catch a buy on this last week based off of that idea, right? So really in terms of us really looking to go long on dollar, right? We did speak about obviously how that zone could be dangerous, but we said most likely we would still be making new highs in the market, right? So we did manage to catch this after we saw the market go ahead and sweep through here, right? The biggest reason why we really went for this trade was because of the way that we did, the price action in that low, right? So we had this low and we had this low, and both of those lows get taken all at once, with that push to the downside, right? We saw the market come up, get back down towards these levels, and that's when we went for buys here, right? So we tried to buy this using GBP USD sells and USD CAD buys, right? That's what we went for this week. And the USD CAD buys ended up being our runner. That ended up being what really ended up crushing it, through to new highs. So that's a blessing, right? We did manage to kill it on that one. But yeah, so really from here, uh, we'll obviously talk about that in a second, right? But that's kind of our analysis for dollar. We were just looking for those longs, to potentially happen. I don't really remember what zones we spoke about, for Euro USD. But I think we did say like overall, we're probably looking to come lower. I do think eventually we will potentially get back into, sales again. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, Euro USD just ended up continuing to come down. I think we did point out that liquidity there, that was above on EU. But we spoke about it more likely as like coming down and then looking to buy. But we obviously didn't do that and price just continued to dump. So that's nice. We'll see if this week we can get something like that. But really overall, I mean, we're just following this overall distribution. So, we spoke about this. I think it was like Wyckoff Sundays episode 2, maybe. Wyckoff Sundays episode 2, we spoke about the potential of this being a higher time frame distribution. And so far, that's what it's looking like, right? So, I mean, ideally, in terms of us really looking to buy again, actually, wait, we'll talk about that later. We're doing a review right now. Now that's dollar pairs, right? We also spoke, about USD CAD as well, right? Which obviously I told you guys was our banger position, for this week. And we weren't too sure about it. Obviously the way that we went ahead and swiped, and we swiped through these highs was kind of like the biggest red flag of like, can we really go ahead and, buy from these levels? But obviously price did end up, giving us really, really good price action during the week, which is why we really went for it, right? So we can see down here, we had this area of imbalance, right? I don't know why that moved, but we had this area of imbalance right here, and we had the market really create a Wyckoff accumulation while coming down into that imbalance, right? So for me, it looked really good when we reacted off of that level, right? We saw price get back into there, react again, and then we took our trade, right? So we actually managed to take two positions on this, one during the Tuesday AM session and one during the Tuesday PM session. And again, that just ended up absolutely banging it to 1 to 6, 1 to 7. Personally, for me, I closed out at about a 1 to 7 for this position. Or maybe it was 1 to 6, right? Something like that. So yeah, but this position obviously did end up running for a 1 to 14, right? 1 to 13. So pretty insane, moves there on USD CAD. Really wasn't expecting like such a huge expansion without much pullbacks, but hey, it does look pretty healthy, right? Maybe we do continue to, boom it from here. We shall see, right? But that was the USD currency pairs. All right, next up, we spoke about gold. So gold and silver, really, I mean, we were obviously hoping that we could hold on to our longs that were here on silver. Unfortunately, we didn't really end up getting that, right? Price ended up pretty much right at open, right? So we had the market open, boom, came right for my stops there, and then ran all the way to TP. So that was a little bit annoying, not gonna lie, but it happens, right? We were hoping to hold there, but we did say that most likely this liquidity here would get taken, and that we were targeting about 92. 0.54. And actually, it looks like we were shy of 92.54. Yeah, that would have been up here. Yeah, that was a bit excessive anyway. But we did get back into this, next point of structure, right? Obviously, this is the high that created the low, and that's what we've seen this reaction from, right? So, now we're right back down to where we were last week. I wonder what can end up happening as we come into a new week, right? But we'll speak about that there in a second. So that was, silver and gold, right? Again, we were hoping to really, hold on to those levels. Oh, whoops, that's not what I took. I did manage to take a sell here last week, but I set a TP, so I didn't get to take advantage of this full move. But yeah, we'll see how this ends up going. Um, with this, right? We were saying this could be a signs of strength, but it looks more like a UTAD right now to me, right? So we'll see how that goes. So that's gold and silver, right? We were looking for the longs, didn't really get it, kind of just consolidated for the majority of the week. Indices, we were also looking for the longs inside of this level. Again, like we didn't really get price getting into that level until later on in the week. And then I ended up getting, stopped out, on those, positions, or I think I got stopped out at break even because I did get a reaction, from here for that nice buy. And then after that, it dumped off. You said if rising oil prices means surging dollar, then that means bearish gold until the conflicts ends. I mean, technically you'd hear like that war should be bullish for gold because everything's super uncertain, right? So it's like, I don't know, you can make one like reason or another reason, right? Whatever the reason is, doesn't matter. End of the day, all that really matters is liquidity, right? Where is most of the money? Who's going to get hurt the most by these things happening? And that's the reason why gold dumped, in my opinion. I still think gold's going to boom, but I just think everybody thought it was going to buy. So guess what? That's not going to happen, right? It's just how it goes, right? How are they going to pay everyone in the market if everyone's in longs at the same time, right? So, really seeing that shakeout to me made a lot of sense. We spoke about it when it happened. But really at the end of the day, I think that it's just searching for liquidity. That's all it's doing right now. And then eventually we probably will see another leg up. Tough to say, for sure. But that's what my personal bet is that we'll probably end up seeing another leg to the upside at some point. So I think that this push to the downside that we're having is potentially manipulated. Could be wrong because again, like where we came into was a really nice level, right? We had like again a good zone up here that made sense to see price sell from. And now we had a redistribution. So, the evidence is kind of against me so far. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, again, we'll speak about this in a second. But yeah, that was with gold, right? And then yeah, indices, I mean, that was what we were looking for longs. But we were saying we probably would go, short one more time, especially with things like NASDAQ, giving that redistribution there. And I think we did end up holding that, there, right? So, where is that? Is that here? Okay, right here. This is that daily up candle, right? We came down. Yeah, we swept through that low. I mean, we'll see if that ends up holding there. We'll see. But I could just be, could be wrong, and we're just gonna see this continue to come down. Right now, the evidence is for bearishness. I can't even lie. As much as I want to just buy and hold some indices, I love a nice indices buy, but nothing there. All right, now indices, that was what we were thinking. Didn't really play out. Crypto, this played out perfectly. All right, so we gave sweep one more time, here, right? As you guys can see, right? So we'll actually listen to what fortunately, no such luck there, right? So, right, I would pay attention. Like if you were still to look for the buys, I mean, I would pay attention to this zone here. right? Probably sweeping that low there. We'll see, right? But if we're looking for buys, then there. If we're looking for sells, then honestly, I would probably only look for it again, like all the way up here. All right. And so, yeah, so really we said we'd probably end up going down, getting into that zone there on BTC, sweeping that low and holding that order flow there. If we were going to go ahead and look for buys, and obviously if we go ahead and look at BTC now, that did end up playing out to the T literally right after we hopped off the session, right? So right here, that was the zone that we marked up. We see nice 4 hour institutional candle dropping into that level before having a beautiful buyback up towards here, right? So, in total, that idea ran for about, what is that, 800 pips, right? 800 pips there, from that moment right there, right? So we did say, again, sweep down into there, like, look at how perfect that was. Like, what an actual snipe. So if anybody was on Wyckoff Sunday, right, you had the opportunity to make thousands on that move, to be honest. If you looked at that zone and you saw price trade into there right after we hopped off, that's why it's important to be on here live. So if you're
Through here,
watching the
mentioned my
recording, hop in the Discord so you can be on these sessions live. But yeah, crazy, crazy play there. In terms of like really having a setup there, I think there was because we can see how that institutional candle happened, right? Big push down, and then we do see the order flow start to push us, right? So we manipulate that low, right? We come up, low there, up, right? This is a classic type 3 setup, right? So kind of getting those 4 hour closures, right? We have a 4 hour candle closure, we get a 2 hour candle closure, right? 1 hour candle closure, and then we get the order flow. So personally, that was a perfect type 3 setup. I think you guys can see that as well. In terms of that, and then again, like really, really, just kind of creating this accumulation there, right? We had the relatively equal highs above. So it was a really good setup to go for. Very, very clean. When it came to BTC, would you have taken the second low then for entry? Yeah, like somewhere in those lows, right? So like after we get two reactions, right? So technically the ideal type 3 setup would be we get obviously the candle closures, then we get the manipulations down, right? So right there. And then we come down back into there. We do a second point of manipulation, which would be right here, right? So pulling us down into there. And then that would have been our ideal entry, right? Stops below the potential phase 2, and then seeing that continue into new highs would have been the idea, right? So if you guys recognize that as a type 3, I mean, you had some potential to catch again thousands of pips. So that would have been like a 1 to 11 potential, right? Even further if you managed to do the whole thing there for about a 1 to 13, right? So pretty crazy, pretty crazy stuff. So that was last week. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and talk about now what we can end up seeing for this coming week. All right, so let's go ahead and start off with dollar. Actually, let's go to the ACAP dollar here. All right. So, first zone on dollar, obviously we've already traded through, right? So we're completely through and through these levels here. Personally, for me, when I was going for these buys, I really was only looking for a new higher high. So as soon as we made that higher high, I basically closed my USD CAD trade, but price did end up continuing to boom after the higher high. So it happens, right? Obviously tough to tell when we're going to continue to expand or not. But again, the zone was very clean to see the pushes to the upside. So the question is now, I mean, like again, like we've been saying, I mean, we've been kind of playing with the possibility of this entire zone here being accumulation, right? And so, having these, drives lower, multiple drives to the downside, right? We talked about how price had been consolidating, for about now 333 days, right? So, almost a year again, like we said. And again, it's like, kind of looked like it was just downtrending, but really it was just consolidating, right? And it looks to me more like an accumulation. We took in the fact that this push to the downside here looked a lot more like manipulation than it did look like weakness. So that's why we flipped our bias, because I think episode 1 we were bearish, and then from episode 2 onwards we've been bullish, right? After we've seen that daily candle print there at the bottom, right? So we did end up getting that daily institutional candle that we ended up just again booming right back up after that, right? So that was kind of like what we've been doing, what we've been looking for. We were talking about buys in here. We were talking about buys in here. So, I mean, it's been beautiful. We love trending markets. to just continue to see those head to the upside. And so now it's like, all right, well, again, if this isn't accumulation, I mean, where do we stop, right? Do we stop at all, right? That's really the question. I mean, it's tough to say at the moment in terms of if we actually do, stop. Right now, we're just kind of in full expansion mode, right? We've just been trending to the upside, creating new highs and creating new highs. Obviously, I'm still going to play devil's advocate and kind of see what happens. But one thing I can see here is that when we look at the higher time frame, right, we have this redistribution area that we had a very nice institutional candle out of. So I would not be surprised at all to see at least a reaction off of that level. So that's going to be, the target for buys, right? So again, if we do end up, not just going straight there when we open, which honestly, I feel like we probably will, but if we don't, we end up pulling back or whatever, and we haven't tapped into this zone, I would personally still continue to look for the buys until we reach up into there, right? If we end up, again, just going straight there, then we're going to start to do what? We're going to start to look for signs of distribution inside of here, right? Potentially it doesn't even hold there, right? Either because again, if this is a higher time frame accumulation, then maybe this high doesn't hold, but we're still going to look here in case, again, this isn't an accumulation. It could just be a short-term rally to take out some sellers. And then maybe from there, we just come into here and dump off for our next leg down. Could be the case. If we do end up breaking through here though, then we're going to want to look for, again, like an entire, like a bigger time frame distribution, something that's going to take a little bit longer. So we're just going to keep buying in that case. But there is definitely some chance for this zone to end up being, like an area for us to short from. So we'll definitely pay attention to that, especially because we're so extended to the upside. Even though it's been really healthy, though, we have had like really good pullbacks, in the market, right? It's not like it's been super impulsive, but at the same time, again, like at least for this last leg, it's been a lot. So if we go straight into there without pulling back, I'll probably look for the shorts, right? But if we pull back and we haven't tapped into this zone yet, then I would potentially start looking for the buys down in this area again, right? So it really just depends on what ends up happening after open, once we get onto the charts again on Tuesday, right? So we'll see what happens with dollar again. Really, looking for signs of distribution here on a smaller time frame, in the high. And if we can sell off, great. If not, then, we'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and take a look real quick at our week, news event wise, just to see. So we have CAD CPI, Tuesday, nothing. We have Wednesday FOMC. So that's actually going to be big. This is going to be a big news event here, at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. So we'll definitely go live for that, next week. And then last time FOMC, by the way, we caught a banger, which is also available on YouTube. You guys can check it out. I think it's the execution files, maybe episode 4, right? It says FOMC on there. But yeah, we'll definitely go live for that again this time. Unemployment claims Thursday. That's about it, right? So yeah, pretty much the main news event is going to be FOMC. Maybe unemployment claims will be big, but FOMC is going to be the main focus this year. No, sorry, this week. And then yeah, it looks like there's PPI as well that same day. So we'll have PPI in the morning, and then we'll have that after. Monday we have cash rate on AUD, so we'll see it. It probably will be another rate pause. In all honesty, I do think it probably will. I know Donald Trump is trying to pressure and all this stuff, but Jerome Powell, I feel like he's just doing it out of spite. He's just like, I don't do what you tell me to do. You know what I mean? Type shit. So probably will be another rate pause type of thing. But I mean, you never know because there are some people that I've heard in the Federal Reserve that are looking now for the rate cuts, right? So probably some people that again probably working with Trump or something that ended up forcing, a vote for it. And there was two people that were saying that they should go for the rate cut. So I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe later in the year it's more likely. But we'll see how it ends up going, right? End of his term's coming and he's being petty. Exactly. He's like, I'm not gonna do it. If you want, the next guy can do it. I'm not gonna cut those rates. So it's interesting, but we'll see how it ends up going there. Obviously, rate cuts would be great. We love rate cuts because then we just need to buy and that's it. It's super easy. Yeah, and the only way to stay in office is there's a war. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens, how the geopolitical landscape progresses. But yeah, at the moment we got dollar booming it, we got indices crushing to the downside. So it's not looking great. And Trump doesn't really like indices going down. So I'm I'm still waiting for the buys to happen. Anyways, so that's idea for dollar. All right, hopefully we can get distributions in here. If not, then again, like we'll probably just continue to buy up until we probably get back into these highs, and then maybe then we can drop off. Tough to say, right? But probably there, right? And then we would just look for another distribution. But I wonder how this will play out. This is definitely looking interesting. Because if this is our idea for an accumulation and it does look like it is playing out, I mean, yeah, we could see a lot higher prices here on dollars. So maybe we do get indices dumping for a while. Who knows? We'll revisit 2022 lows. Who knows? Who knows? All right. So let's go ahead. If we're gonna be looking for those that zone there on dollar, what could we be using here? So I mean, we have Euro USD obviously just distributed. We came back into a previous high here while we distributed, and so you know, in terms of really looking for buys, not great. Euro USD would be better for sells. AUD USD finally released, so that's great. This one looks like. Again, like we have a higher time frame distribution potentially playing out, right? With that being the UTAD. So potentially we could be looking for some LPSY plays on AUD USD later on in the week, right? We do have gaps up in here. Maybe this can end up being a zone that we end up selling from. Right. I mean, I don't really like to play these order flow areas, right? This one isn't bad though. Here, let's look at the 4 hour though. Yeah, we have a 4 hour trap candles there. Could be that we react from there. 2 hour institutional candle, right? And then a potential redistribution as well when we look at the smaller time frame. So maybe this redistribution can be a zone too, right? So this will be the first area I'll look for. Here on the 2 hour institutional candle, right? We have this imbalance here as well. So we're gonna look for those two zones to see if we could potentially find an LPSY idea to potentially frame off of. And, hopefully we can target these lows here. If we don't take these lows, right, very, very big wick there, I think that's a really easy target for us into the future. So we'll see how that goes, right? GU just dumping, right? Not really much else to do there. Again, this is the weakest one, right? So what is happening? Cancel, okay. So yeah, I mean, GU again for buys, maybe down here. Right? So if we're looking for the dollar to recover, maybe GU can end up coming back down into these levels. And then NU is just absolutely dumping off a cliff. Yeah, it's kind of crazy actually. I mean, this is a zone. Like we do have reaccumulations here, but there is also imbalance down below. So it's just like, all right, do we want to hold order flow here? Maybe not, right? Because this was such an impulsive move up. We've taken it now all back. Most of the time we end up sweeping through things like that, to see, right? So maybe that low will end up being taken and we get back into the imbalance. Could be the case, right? USD CAD, again, we were already going for longs here for a while. Not for a while, but since Tuesday. So maybe just pullbacks to be honest, and just to continue. Now that we've come all the way back up here, I mean, I kind of doubt we sell from these levels. So personally looking for pushes higher. We'll see how that goes. But I don't really have a zone there for UCAD. Daily time frame for you, Chef. Maybe in here. Right, that push to the downside there on the daily could be a zone. And then UJ, obviously, we just see continuing to boom. So for right now, nothing really there for us for UJ. Okay, so I don't know if I mean, by the looks of everything, it looks like the accumulation idea is way more likely for dollar, and it looks like we probably won't even react from this level here. It's really tough to say. It is a good zone. Like we do have a redistribution that happened there, but we're just in momentum right now, right? So, definitely let momentum slow down. If this is going to be a higher time frame move, it's not like it's just going to freaking tap into here and dump, right? Like there's nothing like that's going to happen. We're going to get structure, right? We're going to get like sweeps. We're going to get things happening if we're really going to dump. So no need to like try and pick off the top, right? Like let higher time frame candles print, let reactions happen off of those levels. Maybe on the 1 hour, the 30 minute, and then start to look for follow-ups later on, right? But right now, again, like the hypothesis that we've been having for a dollar accumulation, I mean, looks more and more valid every day, right? And if that's the case, then most likely case is that we do break 102, and maybe even potentially 105. Um, so we'll see. All right. All right. So that's currencies. Let's go into silver and gold. All right. So truthfully, guys, it's not looking great for our favorite metals. Firstly, silver. I'll start off with silver. We had this rally here, right, that happened. Daily institutional candle happening there, right? Price coming back into that zone again, and doing so with like, pretty good order flow and tapping back into this area there, right? So again, like I said, not looking great. I do think that most likely we will be seeing price get below this 78 level. I don't think that we react off of here based off how this looks. It looks more like we accumulated and then we redistributed. So we most likely will see another low happen. Potentially where we took our buys from back in February could be a zone for us to come back to and react again from, right? So we do have imbalance sitting down here, right? We got to get below these levels and these levels. So I do think both of those zones can potentially get hit, and maybe we get back into imbalance there on silver, right? For gold, same kind of idea, right? I do think that again, getting below 5,000 is super likely. And from there, right? Because like again, we did have a pretty good accumulation here, right? But then when we went ahead and got above the highs, it looks like it was a lot more of a UTAD, right? So if that's the case, then we could be seeing some lower pricing here, and then maybe below this low, right? We could end up having more accumulations take place, right? So, only time will tell in terms of gold here. Again, it's a very big zone, right? But oh, what the heck? You're glitching here. So yeah, it's a very big zone here, but again, at least below, honestly, even here, it looks like we have equal lows. So I'm gonna point this out here. Where's my line? I'll do a horizontal line. Here we go. Horizontal ray right there, right? And so right here we can see, I mean, pretty equal lows there, right? Pretty equal lows. We got imbalance sitting below. So I wouldn't even be surprised to see price get below 4,960. That could definitely be the incentive here for gold. And then after that, look for the longs again. So we're just gonna have to wait, see if it ends up playing out. But it is not looking so hot for our favorite metals. I can't lie. Personally, again, like I do think that, it is very possible that everything happening with the war, right? There was a lot of people that were looking to buy. And so maybe this is us sweeping them out before the next leg up. It could be the case. It doesn't necessarily mean we're totally bearish, but where we did react from was not good levels, right? Like, trap candle there, right? Big push to the upside there. We had price tapping back into there with manipulation, right? So most likely new lows are likely because of that price action that we saw there. But then hopefully down in here, we can accumulate again to then again look for longs on gold and silver. So only time will tell, right? If we do start to break through there, then that's scary, right? If we start to break through 71, we start to break through 64, it's no longer looking like this could be a reaccumulation, and it would look a lot more like maybe we just distributed. So hopefully not. Hopefully that's not the case. I don't personally, I would say there's like, maybe a 40-30% chance that that's the case. If I were to just estimate it, I would probably go like 60-70% that we end up making a new leg up at some point on gold and silver. So that's my vote, but we'll see. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. All right. So now we're back in this low here for US 30, guys, right? So now we're going to go into indices. So again, we spoke about this trend line here. We ended up completely wrecking all those buyers, right? So all these guys are wrecked. And now we're right back into these previous lows. So this is our order flow lows, right? If we don't hold this zone here that brought us up into new highs, again, it's possible that we're reaching down into like 42K levels, right? These are the lows from tariffs, right? So I think that's 2025. Yeah. These are the lows from 2025. Definitely possible, right? I would really hope that we just buy from here, but by the looks of it, it's not great, right? What I will do though is I will be keeping an eye on US 30 below these lows here, right? But before we go ahead and break through these lows, and I'm going to look for longs, to be honest. I will still try and see if we can hold this order flow below these levels. So I would definitely recommend looking for something like that for you guys as well, right? Potentially going into there, maybe holding the levels and then going ahead and buying up. Hopefully that's the case. If not, then like I said, we could be in for a ride. We could be in for a ride on these. So we'll see what happens, right? Use your risk management and just, take a stab at it. Nasdaq, same idea, right? If we were to react from there on US 30, then maybe this is where we accumulate here on Nasdaq, right? I was thinking we could hold this trap candle, but we don't need to, right? We could easily just be tapping into that zone, right? And then maybe we go ahead and run the low of that trap candle. And then we end up accumulating again, right? It could definitely still be an accumulation play here. So I'm also going to be looking for this zone here. Oh, I just got a charge on my card. I was like, what? But it's Zoom. Fair enough. So, yeah, so then we got, price, again, just really coming below. We had wicks here, wicks here. I mean, there is some signs that it could be accumulation, not gonna lie, right? So it could be that we're in our spring phase now. Maybe we do get one more drive down, and then we can end up buying back up there on indices, hopefully, right? So I'm still on the side of the bulls, all right? And if not, then again, maybe we just end up reaching some more extreme levels. But this is the area of order flow here for S&P. It's the area of order flow for US 30, and it's the area of order flow for NASDAQ. So I'm interested. I'm interested in going into those lows. So I would definitely recommend keeping an eye on these this week to see if we can get into those potential longs. All right. So that's indices for me. All right, guys. And now finally crypto. All right. So I am currently in crypto longs, right? So I did take trades in here on crypto, right? Where's my actually, let me go to the other one because I already have my position marked up right here, right? So basically on crypto, I was really noticing a potential accumulation that was going on here yesterday. We had pretty much the market creating multiple drives back to the downside, and like just look at how the volume drops off, right? Obviously we do have a spike in volume that's like more at the top, right? So not really looking so much at that, but here we do still have big spikes in volume at this point, right? Like huge spikes in volume here and here. And then again, the market just goes ahead and gets lower, right? While that volume is going ahead and getting weaker, right? All the way down until here. So volume just getting weaker and weaker and weaker, right? And then we ended up again, like starting to trend our way higher, right? So I ended up basically noticing that, obviously this down candle right here could be a potential spring, right? So we had that down candle there. I believe we had that on multiple time frames, right? So we had this 4 hour down candle here, right? We had 2 hour down candle right here as well, right? We had the 1 hour down candle here as well. Okay, 30 minute, I believe was over here, right? But still, right? So we had a really nice sweep there, from what I saw. So I was thinking that could potentially be a zone. And then we kind of see the order flow presenting here where, we have this buildup of liquidity right here, right? Price comes down, sweeps that low, right? Respects the potential spring, and then goes and creates a new high, right? And then over here again, same idea, right? We come down, we sweep, and then we just continue to hold, and we can just see the order flow from there. So I ended up taking a trade here at about 70,600. All right. And what I'm really seeing now, I mean, we're really getting some decent spikes in volume every single time that we make a new high, right? So that's why I've been holding this position even though originally it was like kind of more short term for me. But like here again, like big spike in volume there, right? Here's our next volume spike. Where is it? Right there in that high, right? Where's our next volume spike for the buyers here, right? So we just had one, right? So it's like it's still looking pretty strong to potentially continue, right? So personally for me, I'm hoping that we can get up to at least 72,200. That would put me at a pretty good profit. And so that's what I'm personally wanting to target. I did take partials on this already. I also tried to take another attempt here this morning, right over here, and I ended up getting stopped at break even right before the move. So that was unfortunate. But, we went ahead and broke the high. I mean, it doesn't look great the way that we broke it. It does look like it could be like a liquidation, like, type of thing. Like maybe we're just sweeping. And so I might have to take partials because this could be even a distribution here, to be honest. But again, the fact that we have the highest spike in volume that we've had that entire time, like if we look here, like this moment here, it's our biggest spike in volume, the entire uptrend. So it's like that's really going to be the moment that we drop. I mean, it's not impossible, right? It could just be a pullback down and then we end up going. But for me, that looks bullish, just because of the volume. And again, like we did kind of like, sweep through lows here, right? Before doing this move. So I feel like we can continue, right? But if we start to engulf back down, I might have to just pull out of the trade. And, maybe look to find a new entry later on. But I'm hoping this can just become a 4 hour trap candle. So maybe over the next hour or two, if we can just continue to buy, that would be the most ideal for me. If we end up engulfing over the next hour or two, I'll probably end up closing, and then just taking the profit and being happy with that. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that's kind of my ideas there, guys, right? So across the board, I don't know if you guys have any pairs you guys want me to look at. But that's basically my ideas for what I'm going to be looking for the coming week. All right, so fingers crossed we do end up having a good week, guys. We do have some pretty good news events, like I said, so we're gonna really go ahead and plan the week around there. I'll be back live again on Tuesday, guys. For our next session. So I'll see you guys then. All right. But that's pretty much going to be it for me today, guys. So, yeah, that's a wrap on Wyckoff Sundays, episode 8, right? 2 months are now done. All right, let's go into our last week of the 2 months and let's have a good trading week. All right, guys. So that's it for me. Much love, much appreciation, and peace out.